Hello YouTube, this is the Can Fanatic with yet another deck profile, this time bringing you something I like to call Spells Fortune. It's the prophecy cards we're pretty much used to seeing at this point mixed with some Fortune Lady with some Fortune Lady stuff going on. So without further ado, deck profile, it's in front of you. Blah! Two effect veilers because it's effect veiler, it's a spellcaster, it's a tuner, it's great in all spellcaster decks. You should be running it, period. There's no excuse. Even if hand traps suck, there's no excuse. Fortune Lady engine, 3 Fortune Lady darks, 2 lights, 2 waters. Dark is kind of the powerhouse, light has an amazing summoning effect, and water is the draw engine, and you will be bringing water out more than you ever thought possibly possible. And it's amazing, and you'll never want to stop doing it. It's a great engine, wonderful engine to throw into spellcaster decks, especially decks that can summon a lot, as this deck can. Light's effect is so easy to get off. In fact, your opponent will probably set it off sometimes without even meaning to. So, overall, love the cards. Newly discovered them. I wish someone had shown them to me before. Love what they do. Then there's 2 High Priestess. The High Priestess is powerful. She's centralizing. She should be in pretty much every spellcaster deck, especially if that deck runs spellbooks. So, yeah, just overall great. Of 1 games just by her alone. 2 Exemplar. Underutilized card in my opinion. I love Exemplar. Exemplar is in most, if not all, of my builds. She can bring out pretty much anything. She can even bring out water, can set off water's effect. I mean, that's just one of the numerous things you can do with her. Great overall play. In fact, you can Exemplar to pull out the other Exemplar and use that Exemplar for something, and then Exceed if you really want to, or Sync. Yeah. When Spellbook Magician, Spellbook Magician's only in here for when you get those bad hands, because you're running 19 spells, my bad, and 4 traps. So you're running 23 non-monsters. And any mixture of those is pretty much bad if you don't have a monster in your hand. So if you open with nothing but spells, you'll probably have a secrets in your hand, and then you can just secret into Spellbook Magician back into secret, and your hand's a little bit better. And if you have Wonder Wand, you can make it even better. Great combo. That's pretty much the only reason he's in here, and the only reason he's at 1. He would be at 2 if it weren't for the fact that mid to late game, he should be a non-issue at that point. You should be, doing well with your Fortune Ladies and your Priestess and your Exemplar and your Knight's End and your Veiler. You shouldn't need him. Another early game card, Temperance of Prophecy, great early game card. And also a fun little combo. Exemplar, if you have Exemplar on the field, you can secrets into any other book, any other spellbook card, activate that spellbook card, and then you can special a Temperance from your grave, and then use Temperance effects to bring out a High Priestess. It's a great way to basically use Exemplar to pull out a High Priestess without actually getting 7 spell counters. Love Temperance. Love Temperance to death. Then 1 Knight's End Sorcerer. One of my 2 personal tech cards in this. Love Knight's End Sorcerer. Love synchroing into 6. Exemplar, activate a spell, bring out Knight's End, Sink into Tempest is one of my favorite moves in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And it gets run so many decks. There are a lot of decks that people just have problems playing against. Among those, the really infamous triad of Final Countdown, Exodia, and Burn. And Tempest by herself can really help you get around pretty much all 3 of those. So I pretty much always keep a Knight's End Sorcerer in the main, and if not in the main, in the side, for sure. Because the ability to go into Tempest is just too powerful, especially in a metagame where all you really have to do is go against one of those decks, and you're in for a horrible, horrible time. And if you go against more than one of those decks in a tournament, you're kind of screwed. So having an out to that in the main deck, so you don't even bother losing game 1, is really good. Yeah, it's just really powerful. So definitely keep Knight's End in there. My other personal tech is Bound 1. I love Bound 1. It has a lot of weaknesses, but it gives your High Priestess the ability to run over things it shouldn't run over, like Graphas, Red MDs, BLS, without using the spellbook, and it keeps her there. So even if your opponent, like Dark Holes or something, because Bound 1's equipped, she just comes back, or whatever is equipped just comes back, and it's a great ability to have. It's incredibly good with Light, because it doesn't like mess up the chain of how things work out. So light still gets her effect, even though the last thing to happen is her being resummoned, because it's an if statement. So it starts its own separate chain. Someone's gonna be like, the wording of that is not right. You read that at all, but just trust me. I know for sure that Bound Wand, if it's equipped to light and she gets Darkhold, she still gets her effects, even though she comes back. It's just a really, really good card. Has a lot of fun combos. So I love throwing in though. These two cards are among my favorites, and I just threw them in because, hey, it's my deck. Might as well. They've never done me wrong, so I'm always going to throw them in. Then we have Dark Hole Heavy Monster Reborn, because they're Dark Hole Heavy and Monster Reborn. By the way, Dark Hole sets off light, so nice to have. Two MSTs. MSTs are a really good card, especially if you have Exemplar. If you have Exemplar on the field, MST in your opponent's back row, then Special, Night's End, and then go into Tempest or something. Doesn't even really matter. It's great overall, great card, especially with Exemplar. Cough, cough, I love Exemplar. Then as for the Spellbook lineup, 2 life, 2 power, 3 secret, 2 wisdom, 2 tower. Tower is really good in this deck. It's a really fast way to bring out light. You want to bring out light. It's a really great way to have a little bit more draw power. You want more draw power, especially with no way to search out Night's End, or for that matter, pretty much any of these cards. Really good. It's really good in this deck. Not so much in other Prophecy builds, but this one really benefits from it. 2 Wonder Wand, draw power, hand correction mostly. 2 Compulse, and 2 Torrential. These cards are great for dealing with problem cards on your opponent's side of the field, as well as, if you need to, really bad, set off light. So that's the main deck. I've been tinkering with it a lot. It's pretty much going to stay at this, though, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Side deck, I never do side decks unless I have the deck in real life. And then extra deck. 2 Tempest, because Tempest wins games. 2 Arcanite, because Arcanite is a way to change the game back into your favor if you've lost it. TG Hyperlibrarian, because his effect is pretty dang good, and he's 2400 attack for only 5 stars, which is great. Stardust, because it's Stardust. Scrap, because it's Scrap. Mistworm, because it's Mistworm. And you can make all of these really easily with the level modulation the Fortune Ladies give you. 1 Big Eye, and 1 Maji Maji Magician Gal. If this card ever comes out in English, I am buying like 30 of them. It is a great card. If you don't use it in any of your Spellcaster builds, start using it, because it's good, and you should. So that's pretty much it. That's Spell Fortune. As always, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, you like, he's so stupid, K9, that's clearly a better card, Thoith, just put it in the boobly boo down below, all of that comment section. That's what it's called. It's called the comment section. Because I knew that, I wanted to make sure you knew it. Just do what you do. Enjoy the deck. Net deck it to hell and back. Just do it. Bye.